most people, because of the animal husbandry training that they've received from the Board of Education operatives, are not aware that private property by law is not taxable whatsoever. And many of them have not been told by their so-called leader groups, whether they're claiming to be religious or whether they're claiming to be national or any other adhesion type systems of relating to you, your natural being, your rights, your property, your birthrights, etc. Many of them who should have informed you in these matters have not, because many of them are receiving and have been receiving kickbacks from corporate operatives who have been calling themselves falsely constitutional officers of the republic's orders, political platforms that are affiliated with the States United or the United States Republic in treaty with the Moroccan Empire, operating at North America on the land with civil jurisdictional powers limited to constitution and treaty operations, distinguished from any and all corporate entities styled as the United States of America Incorporated, or any entity operatives of the states of any of those entities, where you see the states of as a paradigm in their corporate construct. You already know that that is de facto distinguished from de jure. As an example, to be clear with you, this particular bill of particulars was issued to persons who are contracting and employees of the township known as Pennsauken Township, New Jersey. And this dealt with a bill of attainder dealing with around 10,000 Federal Reserve notes in specie. And so one of the arguments that was made in this bill in particular is the issue of specie, logically distinguished from dollars because they do not deal with Yakum dollars or gold coins, in violation to the Constitution for the United States and all treaty violations, which are both the supreme law of the land. And knowing that most of the people have not been taught basic elementary civics, we decided, particularly after the last session we had dealing with a metaphysical view on chapter 1 of the Circle 7 Quran, we're dealing with issues that are still dealing with the restoration of the estates and the birthrights of the people of the land, commonly referred to as Aboriginal peoples, and others who have been with us who are also referred to as indigenous peoples, etc., distinguished from the occupational, particular hybrid Europeans who have been occupying under de facto government, styled as the private Jesuit corporation known as the United States of America Incorporated, etc., which has gone bankrupt approximately 4 times, and the owners keep changing little aspects of their game and continuing it even to this day. But knowing also that many of the people who have been suffering under their de facto jurisdictional rulership, which is absolutely de facto, unconstitutional, unlawful, etc., but by most people not being taught basic civics, they have not been aware that they are dealing with a body of organized criminals who have been impersonating government, particularly since 1871 officially, but in actuality since 1861, after March the 27th of 1861. So keep that in mind. So when you're looking at the Bill of Particulars, you would also think in this manner. And write this down so you can make reference in your consciousness in your later questions. Quo Wanto. Quo Wanto, Quo, capital WARRANTO. Quo Wanto. And keep in your state of mind of an averment of jurisdiction. Also keep in your state of mind a mandamus, things of this nature. These are the state of mind that you should be in at all times when you're dealing with anyone or any being, any person, any employee, any contractor, any a short introduction to your past, present, and future, and give you a method or a tool to look at the activities past, present, and future. And you will also see that many people look at the Circle 7 Quran in the concept of, I would say, the average perception of what people have been calling religion. However, it is actually in many aspects actually a cultural and metaphysical book, actually, as well as the science, etc. I had a few conversations with a few people along the way in this last month, in reference to that comment that I made the last time we were on, and so I chose to go over it a little bit and actually continue part of a conversation I was actually having with a neighbor, a couple of actually three neighbors of mine, who one who brought it up, and a Chinese brother who brought it up, and an Asiatic across the street, and we had quite a little bit of conversation because the principal culture is pretty much universal among Asiatic peoples, and so we had a lot in common as far as that was concerned. But the question was, how does it apply and in our everyday lives? And so I told him, to take a metaphysical analysis of chapter 1, because people's concepts of what they think religion is, number one, we all know for the masses, and this is redundant, that the masses in general don't get religion, they get dogmata, or they get what you call a structured club type philosophy using some scriptures of choice for the purpose of more or less mind control and social solid systems. But I prefer to look at all the holy books as philosophical and metaphysical tools, actually, which they actually absolutely are. And when you do a little research, you begin to recognize that most of the priesthood, when using these books in the what you call everyday affairs of people, of man, most of the time their motive is financial and clubism, and not actual spiritual or metaphysical distribution of knowledge, or Gnostics knowledge that deals with the divine laws of nature, whereas people would begin to have a cognizance and a capacity to study upon their own and solve many of their own questions and problems on their own. In other words, most of the priesthood do not make the effort to aid or just to share and support the people in such manners that they are liberated from their clubs that are usually financial platforms for the priest, and not really spiritual platforms, because you all know, those of you who are scholars and true religionists know, that spirituality deals only with breath and breathing techniques, more akin to yoga, and then the philosophies of the hermetic principles or the phenomena that operate in the universe, and particularly on Midgard, Earth, are Gnostic philosophies from the ancient Sabian Moors, etc., from which religion comes. and of course, cosmology. So I want to share with you chapter 1. And for those of you who have a Circle 7 Quran, pull out your Circle 7 Quran and go into it and recognize the universal character of the philosophies, and also recognize that there's why it's called the creation and fall of man. When you really analyze it, it is actually giving you sort of like a short story form blueprint of our walk on the planet, being man or the manifest, etc., as well as a general insight or intuitive insight on the destiny of man in many ways. And so it would give some supports to people who would take different positions or analysis on our everyday life activities, whether educational, political, what we would call spiritual, religious, etc. And I trust it would be helpful to many who may look at the book only from a surface perspective and not necessarily look at it with all of the eyes of their senses, And so we're going to share, we're going to take a metaphysical analysis of chapter 1 of the Circle 7 Quran, the creation and fall of man. And some of you take notes, and some of this you can share with other people and also analyze it yourself and look at it from other perspectives. And I'm sure that you'll get and find so many jewels within the chapter. And so I'll share by reading chapter 1. And this comes from the Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, divinely prepared by the noble prophet, noble Drew Ali, by the guiding of his father, God Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from his sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his father, God Allah. And I would want to read also in the back cover of the prepared literature, the fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation of North America need to learn to love instead of hate, and to know of their higher self and lower self. This is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca for the teaching and instructing of all Moorish Americans, etc. Chapter 1, the creation and fall of man. Time never was when man was not. If life of man at any time began, a time would come when it would end. The thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed. No finite mind can comprehend things infinite. All finite things are subject to change. All finite things will cease to be because there was a time when they were not. The bodies and the souls of men are finite things, and they will change. Yea, from the finite point of view, the time will come when they will be no more. But man himself is not the body nor the soul. He is a spirit and a part of Allah. Creative fate gave to spirit man, a soul that he might function on the plane of soul. Gave him a body of flesh that he might function on the plane of things made manifest. Why did creative fate give to spirit man a soul that he might function on the plane of soul? Why did creative fate give to soul a body of the flesh that he might function on the plane of things that are made manifest? Hear ye now, cherubim, ye seraphim, ye angels, and ye men. Hear now, O protoplast, and earth, and plant, and beast. Hear now, ye creeping things of earth, ye fish that swim, ye birds that fly. Hear now, ye winds that blow, ye thunders and ye lightnings of the sky. Hear now, ye spirits of the fire, of water, of earth and air. Hear now, O everything that is, or was, or evermore to be. For wisdom speaks from out of the highest plane of spirit life. Man is the thought of Allah. All thoughts of Allah are infinite. They are not measured up by time, for things that are concerned with time begin and end. The thoughts of Allah are the everlasting of the past into the never-ending days to come. And so is man, the spirit man. But man, like every other thought of Allah, was but a seed that held within itself the potencies of Allah, just as the seed of any plant of earth holds deep within itself the attributes of every part of that especial plant. So spirit man, a seed of Allah, held deep within himself the attributes of every part of Allah. Now seeds are perfect, yea, as perfect as the source from which they come, but they are not unfolded into life made manifest. The child is as perfect as the mother is. So man, the seed, must be deep planted in a soil that he might grow, unfold, as does the bud unfold to show the flower. The human seed that came forth from the heart of Allah was foreordained to be the Lord of the plane of soul and of the plane of things made manifest. So Allah, the husbandman of everything that is, threw forth his human seed into the soil of soul. It grew apace, and man became a living soul, and he became the Lord of all the kingdom of the soul. Hark now, let every creature hear. The plane of soul is but the ether of the spirit plane, vibrating not so fast. And in the slower rhythm of the planes of this plane, the essences of life are manifest. The perfumes and the odors and the true sensations and the all of love are manifest. And these soul attributes became a body beautiful. A multitude of lessons man must learn upon the plane of soul, and here he tarries many ages until his lessons are all learned. Upon the boundary of the plane of soul, the ether began to vibrate slower still, and then the essences took on a final garb. The perfumes and the odors and the true sensations and all of love were clothed in flesh, and man was clothed in flesh. Perfected man must pass through all the ways of life, and so a carnal nature was full manifest, a nature that sprang forth from fleshly things. Without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength, and thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. And so this carnal nature soon became a foe that man must fight, that he might be the strength of Allah made manifest. Let every living thing stand still and hear. Man is the Lord of all the plane of manifest, of protoplast, of mineral, of plant, of beast, but he gave up his birthrights just to gratify his lower self. But man will regain his lost estate, his heritage, but he must do it in a conflict that cannot be told in words. Yea, He must suffer trials and tribulation and temptations, manifold. But let him know that cherubim and seraphim that rule the stations of the sun and spirit of the mighty Allah, who rule the solar stars, are his protectors and his guide, and they will lead to victory. Man will be fully saved, redeemed, perfected by the things he suffers on the plane of flesh and on the plane of soul. And when man has conquered carnal things, his garb of flesh will then have served its purpose well, and it will fall, will be no more. Then he will stand untrammeled on the plane of soul, where he must complete his victories. Unnumbered foes will stand before man upon the plane of soul. These he must overcome, yea, overcome them every one. Thus hope will ever be his beacon light, and there is no failure for the human soul, for Allah's leading on and victory is sure. Man cannot die. The spirit man is one with Allah. While Allah lives, man cannot die. When man has conquered every foe upon the plane of soul, the seed will